Thanksgiving is a day to break bread, a day to mend, a day to cherish, and a day to transcend, not a day to mourn.
You are now listening to The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay on Spotify. A podcast aimed to uncover and share the stories behind heinous and insane acts that have been overlooked or overshadowed by mainstream media, getting justice for the voices that can't speak.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kay, and I am the host of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. A podcast designed to focus on crimes committed in the Black community that you don't hear about in mainstream media, giving a voice to those victims that have otherwise been silenced. I know. I said that I wasn't going to give you guys another episode until after my wedding, and I wasn't going to until I ran across this case. And this one is going to be a little bit different because this case is going to lead to an even bigger case. And well, since it's the Thanksgiving holiday and all, I figured I'd give you all a little sneak peek and a little something to, look forward to for next week, something to whet your palate, if you will. So, no, it will not be an extensively long episode like usual, but I couldn't leave my infamous infiltrators waiting. It's Thanksgiving, gotta celebrate. And speaking of Thanksgiving, let me just go ahead and throw this out here real quick. My people, it is Thanksgiving holiday. It is a day where, you're going to be around your family, your friends. It's going to be lots of food. Please don't go posting pictures of stuff that you cooked. Everybody eating the same stuff. Everybody eating macaroni and cheese. Everybody eating green bean casserole or green beans. Everybody eating collards or turnips or whatever. Everybody eating turkey. Everybody eating ham. We get it. Okay? We get it. You ain't got to post pictures of it. Um, Also, my people, please do not send them damn mass group text messages talking about happy Thanksgiving, because it's always that one relative that will go in there in that mass text message and ask some personal shit and fuck up the whole damn thread. Okay. So I'm telling y'all now, happy Thanksgiving. Please don't text me in those mass group text messages, because I promise you, I don't read them. Okay. I mute them until like 5 days later, and then I just go in and delete it. Also, my people, Thanksgiving is not the day for you to be going in and trying some new recipes, okay? Listen, if your recipe calls for a splash of salt or a pinch of salt, if you using your mama recipe and that thing say a pinch of salt, you better use a pinch of salt. Don't you try to use no pinch and no squidget, no dash all combined, and you trying to use some kosher salt instead of some regular Lowry's or something. Listen, today ain't the day for that, okay? You better go and stick with what you know. Speaking of what you know, I know that you better not bring no badass kids up in my house, okay? Don't bring baby's kids up in here, because I will have them sitting outside on the porch waiting. I don't do the bad kids, okay? If you know your kids is bad, don't be bringing them to your relative's house so that they can run amok and tear shit up in there, because I'm old school. I'm going to take a belt to your ass, okay? And last but not least, when it comes to Thanksgiving, y'all, don't be so judgmental. I know that I just popped off all of that noise, but don't be so judgmental. And that's more so towards the more seasoned generation. Because, baby, when I tell you these little seasoned relatives, ooh, they mouths is so unfiltered. They will say what the fuck ever they want to say. And can't nobody say nothing because, they the elders. Shit. Let me tell you something. You come up to me and ask me, why am I still with this person? Or who's this person's baby daddy? Or, why why you wearing that? That's too, that's a little too tight for you, don't you think? Ma'am, you done popped out 12 babies out your hot pocket and you got the nerve to ask me who my baby daddy is? Mm-mm. Or ma'am, you over here with this wig crooked as all I don't know what, looking like one of the Sanders sisters from damn Hocus Pocus. Don't come for me. No, go sit it down because I'm gonna be the relative that's gonna be in the car. Like, nope, I can't do it. I'm, and don't let me be drinking. All right, y'all. I said my piece on Thanksgiving. Okay, my bad. Anyway, oh, by the way, thank you all for the love and the well wishes. Shout out to those that have gifted myself and hubby to be. We really, really appreciate it. Y'all, when I say I cannot wait until I walk down that aisle, it is so much anticipation and anxiety and excitement. But the day is quickly approaching, like day after tomorrow. Like, by the time I record my next episode, I will officially be Mrs. Ew. Which is why I am sipping on a little something tonight because y'all, I need to calm my damn nerves. Okay. Today has just been whew. But tonight I am sipping on something a little different. I'm trying some of this rum from the John Watling distillery that I got while I was in the Bahamas. And it's very strong. So your girl is mixing it with a little bit of Coca-Cola tonight because I need to be coherent for my rehearsal and my rehearsal dinner. Like, baby, I've been on go mode all week long. Okay. When I tell you I have done so much behind the scenes stuff. And shout out to my bridal party, shout out to my wedding planner, hubby to be. I'm trying not to be a bridezilla, but everything that you can think of that could happen has happened. Like folks canceling last minute, wasting our good money. Oh, best believe, like my good soror told me, oh, when she got married and folks didn't show, she sent invoices. Think I won't. And let me tell you, there have been so many times that I have just wanted to pop off. But, I'm learning that I can't have everything my way and trying to be on my kumbaya and my woosah. And I'm also learning that, people kind of really show you their true colors and you learn who's really there for you in times of happiness, such as this wedding, and of course, in times of sorrow, such as death. And speaking of death, this week's episode is quite tragic. Like, there's so many holes and mysteries in this. So, I guess without further ado, y'all know what time it is. Y'all ready to get into it? Let's get it. Now, like I said, this case is a little different. It never quite made it to court. But this case is very important because it's going to open up a whole can of worms, y'all. Let's get into it. This week's case involves Angela Brooks, victim, Nancy Cushman, victim, and the infamous murderer, Travis Berrien. Or was he? Now, there's not much to the two girls, but of the two, Angela was older. Angela Maisha Brooks was born June 22nd, 1991, to Marilyn Turner in Warrenville, South Carolina. Now, her father wasn't around, and her mother was, pretty much a single parent. Angela had a sister named Darylyn, which is so cute because it rhymed with her mama's name, Marilyn. That's cute. Y'all know parents get real creative with these names. But she also had a brother by the name of Stephen Turner. And, for the most part, her family pretty much struggled. I mean, you got a single mom raising three kids in a kind of a, tight area. So, yeah, there were times where things were difficult, but they made do like a lot of families. Angela was a great student. She was well liked, which is how she ended up crossing paths with Nancy Cushman. Nancy Lubell Cushman was born December 27th, 1992, to Mr. Moses Stanley Cushman and Mrs. Maxine Curry Cushman in Beach Island, South Carolina. Now, Nancy had a brother, Michael Miller, and she also had three sisters, Irvina, Peaches, and Jessica. And she came from a big family and, she was also well loved. Now, even though she grew up in Beach Island, South Carolina, she ended up moving to the town of Warrenville where she met Angela. Okay, so Warrenville is not too far from Augusta, Georgia. It's about 15 miles or so. So in 2010 is when Nancy and her family moved to Aiken, South Carolina, which is pretty much, next door neighbors to Warrenville. So you could say it was Warrenville. And that's where Angela lived. Now, there's not a lot of information on how the two became friends, but I'm assuming that either they went to the same school or something like that and, ended up meeting each other. But they got really close. Now, Nancy, although younger than Angela, had just become a mom and had given birth to a beautiful baby girl named Faye shortly before they moved. And everybody said that she was a loving mother. Like her parents were very supportive of her. She was still going to school and taking care of her daughter. And she had a really good friend in Angela. It was really cool that she was able to get to have such a good friend and, especially moving to a new town and not really knowing anybody. And y'all, this town is small. Like you sneeze, and I promise you in the next county. Like that's how small this town is. And the fact that they were able to be good friends was, kind of inevitable because it's not that many people. Now, one thing that made it even better for the girls' friendship is that Nancy had a car and not just any car. She had this very noticeable 1999 Cadillac Escalade that had a brown and yellow paint job. Come on, UPS. Reminds me of a particular organization whose colors never mind. Oh, I was about to be shady, but I'm trying to do better. All right. But anyway, so in a small town like that, her car really, really stood out. But Nancy and Angela, they would go riding like typical teenagers, hang out with their friends, and, just have a good time. But unfortunately, that good time was about to come to an end. The night before Thanksgiving of 2010, Nancy and Angela were hanging out as usual. And Nancy was, with Angela at her house, but they needed to go out and they wanted to do some stuff. So Nancy was like, all right, let me go holler at my mama real quick and get some money. So her and Angela get in the car. She goes home to her mama's house and she's like, hey, can I get $20? Y'all kids irk the fuck out of me asking for money. My son, I promise y'all, he will come throw his arm around my neck and be like, so ma, can I get $5? And he know I'm gonna give it to his little broke ass. And of course, Nancy's mama gives it to her. Maxine has no idea though that that night was gonna be the last time that she would see Nancy alive. So the girls get into Nancy's car and they head out to East Augusta, which is going specifically to East Boundary Street. Now, East Boundary Street is this like residential area. It's kind of quiet. But here's the thing, the girls are not alone in the car. See, Sean Johnson, which is one of Nancy's friends, saw her around 12:30 that morning. And he also saw somebody in the car with the girls. Now he didn't know who it was, and later he told the police, like, "Hey, I saw somebody in the car with her," but it was established that it was definitely a third person in the car, and they were sitting behind Nancy, who was driving, her truck naturally. Now I don't know if she was supposed to spend the night with Angela or what, but literally a few hours later, their bodies are found dead. On November 25th, 2010, around 2:30 in the morning, in a completely different town of Augusta, Georgia, a woman by the name of Betty Chisholm is walking along this intersection near Laney Walker Boulevard and Twig Street. Now, as to why the hell she was walking at 2:30 in the morning, I don't know. It's not much on Betty either, and quite frankly, she's not that relevant to the case. But little Miss Betty is out there at 2:30 in the morning, getting her little stroll on. She walking. And The area that she's walking in is real sketchy. Like it's semi-woody, there's overgrown shrubbery everywhere, it's littered with trash, and there's these like abandoned railroad tracks that are over there. So again, I don't know why the fuck Miss Betty is walking her ass through here, but nonetheless she is. And while she's walking, she sees something that looks a little, a little suspicious. So she's like, what the hell is that? So rather than go all the way over there, she's like, you know what? Let me go get somebody to come over here. Yeah, that makes sense. Get somebody else's ass out there at 2:30 in the damn morning. Okay. But Betty's got this cousin that lives nearby in the Eminem Scott apartment complex. So she goes over there and she gets him and she's like, hey, cuzzo, I need you to walk with me over here. I think I see something. I don't know if it's a body or what. So her cousin, he like, all right, cool, I got you. Now, why the fuck these two want to be Christopher damn Columbus at damn old dark 30? I mean, I get it if you law enforcement or you strapped or something, but this ain't boys in the hood. We ain't trying to see no dead body. Cause that's exactly what the fuck happened. Betty and her cousin walked back over to that area and they see that not only is it one body, but it's two. And they're both laying face down, no shoes on, dead. And Betty's like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. And her cousin's like, yo, what the fuck did this girl bring me over here to? Um, yeah, nigga, you went on your own. She didn't force you to go over there. That's what you get. You should have minded your damn business. But, Betty calls the police and they show up around 3:20 in the morning and they see these two women laid on the ground dead. They see that the two ladies were shot execution style with a bullet to the back of the head. The Richmond County Sheriff's Office comes out and they start doing their investigation and, canvassing the area, looking for anything that they can find that can give them an idea of who did this. And the first thing they see is Nancy's Escalade, which is like a mile and a half away. See, her Escalade was discovered on 2nd Street in Telfair, which ironically is on the other side of the Richmond County Sheriff's Office building. That's some bold ass shit to park your car or park this woman's car outside the sheriff's office. You a bold motherfucker. Inside of her car was Angela's shoes. Y'all remember I told y'all the girls were found face down and didn't have on any shoes. Angela just had on her ankle socks. So whoever killed these girls literally got them out of the car barefoot and either made them walk to that location or they possibly drugged them to that spot. So the cops, they just getting started. They have to notify Nancy and Angela's families that their babies are gone. And this is Thanksgiving Day. Like, this is supposed to be a day where everybody's kicking back, coming to the family's houses, bringing delicious food they done made, watching football all day, drinking, smoking a little something, maybe, watching the parade, all of that. It's literally a day that's supposed to be of, family and fellowship. But for the Brooks and for the Cushmans, it turned to a day of sorrow. So the police contacted the families and they tell them what happened. And, they're asking questions, trying to figure out if they knew why their daughters were out so late and what their daughters were doing or who they were with. And the only thing that Maxine could tell the cops about Nancy was that, her daughter had come to the house with Angela the night before to borrow some money so that they could go, do whatever. And so later on that day, Nancy's mom goes and she talks to some reporters because by now, the news has caught on to the story and they're trying to figure out what happened. And, we all know those first like 48 hours of a crime are very critical to getting evidence and witnesses and whatever else. So Nancy's family goes to the reporters and, they tell them this is a hard day for us. We were supposed to be celebrating Thanksgiving. Nancy's got a 1-year-old daughter and now baby Faye, she isn't going to know anything about her mother because she's dead. She doesn't know what's happening. She doesn't know that her mom is now gone forever. So while the cops are investigating, the families are planning their daughter's funerals. On Thursday, December 2nd, 2010, Angela's funeral was held at St. John Baptist Church in Warrenville, South Carolina. 2 days later, on Saturday, December 4th of 2010, Nancy's funeral was held at Miller's Funeral Home in Aiken, South Carolina, and she was buried in her hometown of Beach Island, South Carolina. Now, the cops are really feeling the pressure because they know that they have to figure out who took these girls to this location in Augusta. Even though it's not far from where they live, the big question is why they were there. Who were they meeting up with? They're teenagers. Could it have been like a hookup kind of thing? Were they going to buy drugs? Were they just going to kick it because they on break? Those were the questions that were going through the cops' minds. The biggest one was who the hell took these girls out the car, killed them, and then dumped the car so close by? The medical examiners released the report on the official death of the girls, and it reveals that both Angela and Nancy had multiple gunshot wounds. But the weird thing was, it was point blank range and they were in their hands. So, what I'm deducting is that they were defensive wounds and that the girls like had their hands up raised, trying to like block the shots or prevent themselves from getting hit. But at some point, the gun made the two of them kneel down into like a prayer like position and shot them execution style in the back of the head because they landed face down. And based off the evidence that they found at the scene of the crime, it was definitely more than one person that killed these girls. But who? It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Nobody could find anything. But people started coming forward. And they actually started coming forward the day of the murder. And they're saying that Angela and Nancy were with this man named Travis within like a 2 hour time span of them being killed. Remember that residential neighborhood I was telling y'all about? In that time frame, for whatever reason, Nancy and Angela just had to go see Travis. Now, some people said that Travis and Nancy had a relationship. Now, remember, Nancy's 17. Now, could this have been her baby daddy, maybe? Could this have been somebody that she was interested in, or was he interested in her? Well, according to certain family members, Travis and one of the girls, although it was never said who, were romantically involved. And supposedly he was related as like a distant cousin to the other one. Now, my guess is that the way that the story is unfolding here is that Nancy is the one that was involved with him because she was really pressed to see him. But it was never proven which one exactly he was involved with. And I can only guess that, they were involved with each other without her mama knowing because baby, I don't know if any mama that's gonna let her 17-year-old daughter be fucking around with a 26-year-old man and not put a foot in her ass and then put a bullet in his. Okay. Nancy was just shy of turning 18. And Travis's ass was 26 years old. But she really wanted to go see him. All right, so I know you're asking, Kay, who the fuck is Travis? Well, I'll tell you. Travis Lorenzo Berrien was born in 1984. Obviously, he's a little bit older than these two girls, but homie had an extensive criminal record. Like I'm talking about it dated back to the early 2000s. You know how they say that like some people are just drawn to trouble? This nigga was one of them. Like this man had a record for aggravated assault, second degree criminal damage to property, criminal use of an article with an altered identification mark, you name it, stolen weapons, possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime, all of that. Like, nigga, did your mama even like you? With all of these people coming forward saying that Travis was with the girls around the time that they died, the cops named him, a person of interest. And they put his name out into the media, letting everybody know that they were wanting to speak with him. But unfortunately, Travis is MIA. And as more time has passed and he becomes harder to find, the police are just like, all right, he's no longer a person of interest. He's now a suspect. Now, the good thing is the cops are eventually able to get a little bit of evidence. See, they started canvassing the area and scoping the scene. And like I said, because Nancy had such a recognizable car, they went and looked at some video footage of her car. And that Monday, November 29th, like a few days after the girls died, they're looking at the video footage that came from this convenience store that was on Wrightsboro Road. Okay, so this convenience store was about 5 miles away from where the girls' bodies were found. And in the video was Nancy's truck at around 12:20 a.m., which was just before they were found in that residential area talking to their friend Sean. You want to know the strange thing? That video shows two men getting out of the truck and going inside the store. One of them got out from the back seat. Can you guess who that was? Yup, Travis. Or at least that's what the cops thought at first. Because when they looked back at the video, they realized it was somebody completely different. But that was definitely Nancy's truck that the two men got out of. But where were Nancy and Angela? They never got out of the vehicle, and you could tell from the video, neither of them were driving. So the cops bring the two men in later that day on Monday, the 29th, and they're asking them questions and all of that. And the two men were actually cleared because the cops were like, yeah, okay, they were there, but they couldn't have participated in this. Now, for whatever reason, they didn't give the two men's names, which was probably smart because there's no telling how these families, would have reacted to them being freed. Like, you just let the motherfucker go. Like, yeah, I get it. So it might have been a good thing that they didn't release their names. And even though Travis was their prime suspect, they could never arrest him for the murders of 19-year-old Angela Brooks and 17-year-old Nancy Cushman. But eventually, luck is on their side because they are able to locate Travis and they bring his ass in so that they can question him. They arrested him, they bring him in, and they interview him. But the fucking strange thing is they let his ass go. And this is where I start to think.
No, you done fucked up, right? No. You know you done fucked up, right?
Like, if you know how this nigga is moving, why not keep him? This is one of them times where you detain his ass for 48 hours and you bust your ass to get as much evidence as possible because you already got witnesses that saw him with the girls before they died. He's got a criminal record. Now, okay, let me say this, don't get it twisted. I know that it's innocent until proven guilty, but this dude here done had some questionable behavior, okay? Like I said, he's got an extensive criminal history that was like over a decade long, some of them for very violent crimes. And I promise y'all this is going to make sense in a bit, okay? Like, check this out. In 2003, Travis was arrested by the Richmond County Sheriff's Office for firing a rifle at a car and at an apartment complex. And when they went into his house, they found a shit ton of guns, one of which had been stolen. Then in December of 2004, they found him guilty of another charge for aggravated assault and possession of a firearm during the commission of a crime. So clearly he has proven that, you might want to keep a watchful eye on this fool. But no, y'all just let him go. At this point, the cops are watching his ass because they're like, okay, what the fuck is this nigga doing? And then in February of 2008, just 2 years before these girls are murdered, Travis was sentenced to 5 years in prison, 6 years of probation for aggravated assault, possession of a firearm, and the commission of a crime again. And it got to the point that the judge that was presiding over his case at the time, Judge Carl Brown Jr., he actually ordered Travis to undergo like some counseling and like random drug testing. And, in addition, he made him earn his GED. No education. Not a dumbass thug. Oh no. But here's the shit that really pissed me off. For whatever reason, despite him getting 5 years in prison, do y'all know Travis was released from prison a year later? Yeah, a year later. So now I'm wondering.
Reason.
What was the reason?
I had a reason.
What was the reason?
I had a reason.
What was the reason?
I just explained the reason.
What was the reason, bitch?
I don't need to explain myself to you. And
What was the reason?
Seriously? This man fired a weapon at people. He fired into a car. He fired into an apartment complex. He had stolen guns, aggravated assault on multiple occasions. Why the fuck did you let him out early? Because the prisons were overcrowded? Because he was exhibiting good behavior? Did he earn his GED while he was in prison? Did he undergo counseling while he was in prison? Did he really show y'all that he changed much? His ass should have still been in prison, because if he had, then maybe the girls would still be alive now. I know they said that it was, more than one person involved, but if his ass would have still been in prison, then maybe these girls wouldn't have crossed paths with him and gotten involved with him. Here's the really fucked up thing. Travis Berrien vanished off the face of the earth and didn't reappear until 2013. Now, this is after the murders, of course. After they released him and let him go from questioning, he just completely went ghost, Casper. And it's the way that he reappears that is going to completely blow your mind. But you're going to have to wait until next week to have your mind blown, because this is just the tip of the iceberg. And the way Travis resurfaces, the conclusion is going to be one you didn't see coming, I promise you. Now, there is no fair or foul this week because, like I said, it's way more to the story than this. But y'all know I got y'all next week. Feel free to tune in next week for the conclusion of Travis Berrien, the real life Casper. That is all for this week's episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. You can follow the show on the following streams: on Instagram and TikTok at Infamous One Podcast. That's a number one, by the way, not spelled out. And you can leave a review there. On Twitter, it's Infamous One Pod, where you can also leave a review. On Facebook, you can send a friend request to the page, The Infamous Ones, or join the private discussion group, The Infamous Ones Discussion Group. If I've said it once, I will say it again. If you don't answer the questions, you ain't getting in. Follow instructions, people. Damn, it's that simple. There's so many of y'all pending right now, and hate it for you. The show streams on multiple streaming services like Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and so on and so on. So leave a review. It only takes a few seconds, and these reviews matter. Speaking of reviews, let's get into a couple of them. This one comes from Spotify from Thug Pound 02. That name, gotta love it. It's on the Anaya Day episode, and Thug Pound said, podcasts about children, hands down, have to be the most difficult to listen to as a parent who absolutely loves his children and would lay down his life for them. To hear a story like this is truly heartbreaking. Speaks to why some people should not be parents. That being said, I'm tired of hearing DFS or CPS dropping the ball and failing to protect another child when several individuals have done their due diligence, reporting suspected abuse and doing absolutely nothing. Should face charges, in my opinion. I completely agree. DCFS gets away with too much shit. And I feel like the apologies are too little too late. Like, where was all of this energy when the child was being abused? Um, I get being overworked and underpaid and all of that, but if you're going to get into this profession, then you have to be able to handle it. And I feel like a lot of them don't. This next one comes from Facebook, from the podcast group, and it's from Tina Bina. Hey, Tina Bina. Says, your art of storytelling is amazing. Would you be willing to look into a story if I sent you one to see what you find? And if you feel inspired by the content, maybe share on your show. Of course. As I always say, if you have a case that you want me to look into, you can always email it to me. And if it went to court, then I will definitely look into it. I've done a few episodes, just based off of suggestions. I've had a few cases that didn't go to court, but I find it's a lot more that kind of happens behind the scenes and that happens after when you get a case that goes to court. So, yeah. If you want to support the show, or if you're feeling the spirit, meaning that liquor that we've been sipping on, which is that good old rum from the John Watling Distillery and some Coca-Cola, Click the link at the bottom of the screen from whatever app you're listening to this episode on and hit listener support to subscribe. It starts at like 99 cents and gives you access to stuff the listeners don't get from behind the scenes and all of that. I do believe that they're taking the support option away at the beginning of the year. So now you're only going to be able to subscribe after that. But you can also donate via the Cash App at $infamous one pod. That's $INFAMOUSONEPOD. Donations go toward new recording equipment since I want to start doing video with this. And of course, snacks. And shout out to my snack crew, by the way. If you have a case that you want to hear more on that you feel has been ignored in the Black community, if you want to inquire about ad space, or if you want to leave a review, send an email to infamous1pod@gmail.com. That's INFAMOUSONEPOD@gmail.com. And once again, people, please share. This podcast is growing by the day and it means the world to me. So, what you waiting on? Hit that share button. Tag some of your people and say, hey, check out this podcast. It's fire. Until then, y'all know what it is. I'm your girl Kay. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see y'all next time with the continuance of this episode. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay. Be sure to like and comment on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.